What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer. Just recently, Blizzard debuted the Overwatch 2 x One Punch Man collaboration, and as exciting as it is to see Blizzard do something like this, where they're bringing in this external IP to add these new hero skins and cosmetics to the game, it does sort of beg the question of whether or not collaborations like One Punch Man really belong in Overwatch 2. Now, I for one love this One Punch Man collaboration. I think it's a really fun thing for Blizzard to experiment with, and certainly the skins themselves are not only really fitting for the characters who got them, but just a fun change of pace in general. But that being said, I can certainly also see the concerns many people have when it comes to taking an IP like Overwatch, which has its own clearly established identity, and bringing in these outside IPs to change up what certain elements and characters in the game look like, or potentially in the future, even play as. So in today's video, I want to delve into the question of whether a collaboration like One Punch Man fits in Overwatch, and whether Blizzard should continue doing collaborations like this going forward into the future. So first off, I think it's worth mentioning that despite One Punch Man by far being the biggest collaboration Blizzard has ever done with the Overwatch IP, it technically isn't the first. Previously, we've seen a number of different heroes get skins inspired by various characters from Blizzard's own other IPs, such as StarCraft, Warcraft, and Diablo. Now, while these are technically collaborations, and that the skins are clearly inspired by characters from a different intellectual property, the fact that they all fall under the Blizzard umbrella has never really made these feel like collabs in the same way as the One Punch Man collaboration, especially given Blizzard's history of cross-referencing their different games and characters, and of course the existence of Heroes of the Storm, which is literally just a mashup of characters from other IPs they own. I've always been hesitant to even call these skins collabs, as they're more of just internal references within Blizzard itself. I mean, heck, the entire map of Blizzard World is literally just a reference to other Blizzard games, and it honestly feels like it fits perfectly within the Overwatch universe. So to that end, I certainly wouldn't consider the Warcraft and StarCraft skins we have in Overwatch to really be collabs in the same way as One Punch Man. And to that extent, I certainly don't think there's ever been an issue or cause for concern with having these skins in the game. Now, the other major IP collaboration which Blizzard has done is actually the Brick Bastion skin, which was a number of years ago, way back in the early days of Overwatch 1, where Blizzard had an official collaboration with LEGO in order to bring a number of different LEGO-themed cosmetics into the game, including the Brick Bastion skin. Now, while this most certainly falls into the realm of an external IP collaboration, at the same time, it was much more subtle than what we're seeing currently with the One Punch Man collab. While yes, this was officially a collaboration with the company LEGO, in-game, they never really presented it as being LEGO specifically. I mean, the skin itself is simply called Brick Bastion, and it doesn't have like the LEGO logo plastered all over it or anything. So if you were some bizarro person who somehow has never heard of the fantastic building toy known as LEGO, seeing this skin wouldn't necessarily scream to you that, oh, this is an external IP collab. Because as far as you might know, it's just a skin themed around tiny plastic building blocks, of which there are countless companies that produce these other than LEGO. So to that end, even the LEGO Brick Bastion collaboration really isn't comparable to what we're seeing currently with One Punch Man, which means this sort of major collaboration with another intellectual property that changes the character's skins in this way is truly a big first step for Blizzard as a company, at least when it comes to Overwatch. And that certainly is the reason why some people are starting to question whether or not a collaboration like this really belongs in Overwatch 2. So getting now into the actual concerns of having collaborations like this, the biggest and most pressing concern is certainly the idea of Overwatch potentially losing its own identity via external collaborations. Overwatch as a game has always had a very clear-cut individual identity. It's an epic hero-based shooter set in a futuristic pseudo-sci-fi world with a cast of colorful characters who come from all different nations and backgrounds, and it even has its own expansive lore with the world itself and the Omnic Crisis and everything that happened pertaining to that in the early days of Overwatch. So clearly the game Overwatch has a clear-cut identity. When you say Overwatch, people typically know exactly what you're talking about and have a very clear image come to mind. But what happens to that image once you start to bring in other external IPs like One Punch Man? Well, at the time being, I don't think there's any concern that adding Saitama Doomfist is going to compromise the identity of Overwatch, but certainly it introduces the the idea of it potentially being a slippery slope. Maybe adding 4 One Punch Man themed skins isn't going to change how people perceive Overwatch and the experience any given player has while playing it, but what if they then added 4 more, and then another 4, and then another 20 skins from some external IP? At what point does the game start to lose its own identity once it becomes flooded with characters and visuals and themes from other properties? I think the best example of seeing this actually happen within recent years is, of course, with the game Fortnite. Now, I'm not going to be bashing on Fortnite here in this video. I think it's a fine game for what it is, but certainly looking at the history of the game over the past 5 or so years, it really has changed quite substantially. In the early days of Fortnite, even when it was already becoming a battle royale, it definitely had its own sort of identity. Sure, it was more or less a mishmash of random characters who didn't even particularly have names or any sort of coherent theme, but the world itself had some sort of ongoing story with it, and you had all these major events that were exciting, and these sort of various themes that would come into play. Then, at some point, Epic Games started to branch out a bit and bring in external IP collaborations to add characters to the game like Thanos, Rick Sanchez, Naruto, Master Chief. And pretty quickly after they started doing this, whatever original identity Fortnite had pretty much evaporated. Fortnite's identity eventually became the fact that it simply had no original identity. Literally, the identity of Fortnite at this point is the fact that it is a mishmash of other characters and people and bizarro elements from other external IPs. That is Fortnite's identity at this point. And again, I'm not going to say that that's necessarily a bad thing. That's what Fortnite does. That's Fortnite's thing, and clearly it works for it, and cool, I'm glad that that's what they've decided to go with. But when it comes to Overwatch, well, personally, I wouldn't like seeing it suffer that same fate. I like the Overwatch universe. I like the characters that exist within it. I want to see them preserved in their own light and not become just one of many different characters and IPs and elements existing within the game Overwatch 2. Certainly 4 One Punch Man themed skins isn't compromising the identity of Overwatch, but if Blizzard is to keep adding skins like this, potentially we could reach a point where that does happen. Now, I will say that despite this theoretical risk somewhere later down the line for Overwatch, out of all the possible collaborations Blizzard could have done for Overwatch 2 at this point, I think One Punch Man is actually incredibly fitting. Overwatch and One Punch Man actually have quite a bit in common, surprisingly. Thematically, they're similar, what with elements like heroes who have these diverse set of abilities and powers, which are used to either do great things or be a villain, and even artistically, Overwatch already has a sort of pseudo-anime art style to it, which means an anime like One Punch Man, at least visually, feels like it fits right inside the game. What's more is that I think Blizzard did a really smart move with the way they actually introduced the skins themselves, in that rather than taking Doomfist and just literally turning him into Saitama, they basically just made Doomfist cosplaying the One Punch Man character. This is, in a lot of ways, genius, because not only is it something they basically had to do in order to preserve the silhouette of the playable hero Doomfist, but also it preserves the identity of Doomfist as a character. Now, in the universe of Overwatch, okay, Doomfist probably would never cosplay as Saitama, that just doesn't seem like something he'd do, but it certainly fits within the realm of expectations already set by all these other crazy skins we see him using that are just part of the cosmetics pool. And given that we already have the expectation of heroes having different outfits that aren't necessarily canon within the lore of the universe, having Doomfist wear a Saitama outfit absolutely feels like it fits within the expectations and world of the game. So because of this, it's much less the case of having One Punch Man characters invade Overwatch and replace existing heroes, and more so just Overwatch heroes pretending to be One Punch Man characters, which is by far the best way I think Blizzard could have handled this. And so, all things considered, personally, I don't see any issue at all with a collaboration like One Punch Man. It fits the game, they've implemented it in potentially the best way they could have, so unless for some reason you just adamantly hate One Punch Man and despise seeing any of the characters in any of their forms, I do think it's a little silly to look at the One Punch Man collaboration and see it as anything other than a fun experiment, at the very least. Now, if we got a collaboration like this constantly consistently, every month there was a new crossover event where they'd bring in some new anime character or some Marvel hero or something like that, yeah, it might get a little tiring. But in terms of it being a fairly infrequent sort of event they do, where it's like, hey, for this month only, you can get cool One Punch Man skins, or like maybe sometime later this year, hey, you can get My Hero Academia themed skins. I think handling collaborations like that is honestly a great thing for Blizzard to do. It's a great way to potentially get more people interested in the game if they're already One Punch Man fans. And so, as far as I'm concerned, no, I don't think collabs are bad for Overwatch in the slightest. I think as long as Blizzard is sparing with how often they bring collaborations like this to Overwatch 2, and that they continue to be respectful of the Overwatch heroes themselves by portraying these skins as more of cosplay outfits, as opposed to literally that character or hero coming into the game, then absolutely I would love to see more collaborations along these lines in the future. Maybe someday we will hit a point where Overwatch's identity becomes compromised with how many external IPs are flooding the game, but even if that ever ends up happening, it's going to be a long ways off, and I think we're going to see the warning signs of it well before we actually reach that point. So for the time being, I'm gonna enjoy these One Punch Man skins. I'm not even a big One Punch Man fan myself personally, but I just think the skins are fun, and I like that Blizzard is doing something different by looking to do external collabs like this. Hopefully we see more fun and exciting collaborations in the future, and on that note, let me know your thoughts on the Overwatch 2 One Punch Man collaboration by dropping a comment down below. Are you worried about the future of Overwatch's identity if Blizzard continues to do collaborations like this? Or maybe you love the idea of having these external IPs come in to mix up what characters look like in the game itself. Either way, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, hit up that bell icon, and come join my Discord server to hang out and never miss any of my future Overwatch content. Special thanks to my YouTube channel members who help make these videos possible, and if you'd like to join them to earn some cool rewards, then just hit that join button down below. Otherwise, this is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.